bitch. This episode, oh my God. Pennywise said, Lily, you brought them all to me. 'Cause you're such a good friend. Baby, this episode was off the chain. Ah!
Welcome to the Asia Esterak Hour, where film meets conspiracy and pop culture gets a reality check. From sharp recaps to sci-fi theories and media deep dives, Asia Esterak serves it unfiltered. Let the binge begin.
Welcome back to the Asia Esterak Hour. I'm Asia Esterak. I'm smiling because it's Welcome to Derry. Oh my God. All right. Welcome to Derry, Season 1, Episode 5. Was anybody else jumping up and down, screaming and hollering when Pennywise was like, I love this show so much. All right. So we open with Dick hollering, jumping out of homeboy's head. The Native American guy, I cannot remember his name, but he cute though. I follow him on Instagram. Homeboy fine. Anyway, so he's seizing and he's got like white stuff coming out of his mouth. So he's like, and Dick's like, we need help in here. You know, Dick hollering is covered in sweat. He's messed up. So of course, Dexter's dad, the actor James Remar, aka Francis grown up, the colonel, lieutenant, colonel, whatever, the one who about to mess the whole shit up, he comes running in and he's like, did we get it? Dick hollering, we got it. And of course, Leroy is like, what the hell is going on? So we get to Marge, who is in the hospital. She's now missing one eye. She's talking to the nurse and Lily walks in and the nurse is like, I'll be outside if anything happens. So basically Marge apologizes to her because she's like, I didn't believe you. Now I do. And Lily's like, it's okay. So Marge says, is this, why is this happening? Is it ever going to stop? Lily's like, I don't know. And I don't know. So she takes Marge, they leave and they meet up with their crew at that like lighthouse situation thing, tower overlooking Derry. They're all up there and they hear coughing and something coming from a tent that's up there. And we see this creepy ass hand reach around and it's homeboy Maddie, their friend from the first episode. And apparently he's back from the sewers. Yeah, right. Okay, so back on the army base, the colonel, I'm gonna just call him, well, his name's Francis. He's just grown up. Francis, Dexter's dad, the actor James Remar, and Sergeant Leroy Hanlon. Basically, Sergeant Hanlon is like, what's going on? Like, what is happening? What are we looking for exactly? What is in Derry? So the colonel's like, basically, we need to find it and contain it. And he's like, so Derry is the prison and we're looking for the bars. And he's like, yeah, we're going to contain it. Contain it? So they get into that. So then the colonel's like, this could have ended the Cold War. Basically, he's like, we're going to find this bitch and figure out how to use it, which is ridiculous, obviously. So Sergeant Hanlon is like, so you knew this was happening in Derry and you had me move here with my family? And then the colonel's like, well, you're the one that chose to go off the base. If it's that serious, they could come back. And he basically is like, they are. So we go back to the kids in their hideout and they're talking to Maddie, who's returned from the sewers. Can I just tell you something? I knew that wasn't him immediately. I was like, no one, my sister and I were talking about this earlier today. Nobody in the universe of it has ever been dragged to the sewers by Pennywise and then ran back to live to tell the tale. And everything about Maddie up on that roof talking to them was giving Pennywise. Because the first thing he says is, because they were like, where were you? And he's like, I don't know. He's the one that mentions the clown. They haven't seen Pennywise as Pennywise yet, right? They haven't seen him. So they're like, how did you get out? And he's like, well, it sleeps during the day. They're learning more about this from him. It's just, it was weird. So then, of course, the scene after that is the group of Native American elders who are basically like, listen, these white folks is fucking it up. They about to open the shit up again. And have you noticed that everybody in town is acting crazy? Which means there's a feast coming and homeboy's going out with a bang. So basically, Pennywise hunts every 27 years. He must be related to Jeepers Creepers. And he's about to, his feeding cycle is about to end. So towards the end of the feeding cycle, apparently he grubs the fuck out. True buffet style. So they're all basically like, what are we gonna do? Because they're not supposed to be getting this close. And homeboy is about to go out with a bang. A bang. And the young man that they took, who's part of the group that watches over Derry to make sure it doesn't get out. One thing I wanted to add, I did that again. One thing I wanted to add, the scene with the colonel and Lieutenant and Sergeant Hanlon, he shows him a map and he's like, this is the entrance to get to it. And it's the 29 Neibolt Street, the creepy house from the movie It. So they know that that's the portal, that's the entrance, that's the way to get in. Okay. So after the scene with the Native American elders talking about how they got Rose's nephew, I can't remember his name, fine ass dude with the long hair, fine ass dude. Um, so she knows she has to go to the base to go get him and talk to Francis because that was her homie back in the day. But anyway, so in between that, we have Ronnie Gorgon's dad, who's been accused of killing the kids at the theater. He's about to get shipped off to Shawshank. As a fan of Stephen King, everything, it's wild that Shawshank Redemption is in the same universe as all of this. I love it. Oh my god, I love it so much. Oh my god. Anyway, so I'm fanning out. This show be having me fan out every week. Um, but anyway, so he's walking out, and of course, people are out there protesting and yelling, and Sergeant Hanlon's beautiful wife Charlotte, that actress that plays Charlotte, is gorgeous. Gorgeous. She's like naturally just seductive. And anyway, I'm digressing. She's just really pretty. I just think she's a really pretty lady, and she's a hell of an actress. Anyway, so she's out there too. So this dude comes running up, breaks through the cops, and pulls out his gun and tries to shoot Ronnie Gorgon. You're gonna pay for what you did to those kids. Obviously, somebody's parent. The shot misses, and they manage to get him under control. So Charlotte, Sergeant Hanlon's wife, she's looking around because everybody's kind of freaking out because dude pulled out a gun, and she notices over at the jail one of the cops that's watching them walk Ronnie Gorgon's dad to the Shawshank bus. He got a weird look on his face. So then he looks over at Charlotte and he's like, I would have fell out. So she's like, the fuck? So anyway, he gets on the bus. He rides off. It sucks because he's going down for something he didn't do. But it is what it is. So, for the sake of this show. So anyway, so Rose shows up on the army base, demands to see Colonel Francis, and she comes in and she's like, basically like, listen, y'all need to stop. This shit that you're doing is not okay. And he's like, we can use this to help us. And I just want to tell you, he talks about when he was stationed somewhere. So he talks about giving this drug by the military, and it immediately brought all the memories back of what happened to him as a kid with Rose when they were kids, it in the forest, that whole situation. This is the other thing too, for a lot of people that didn't read the book or didn't watch the movies, or maybe you did both and forgot. And the show reminded me of it. Anybody anybody that experienced anything with Pennywise while in Derry, when they move away, they forget about it. It's like their memories erase. And then when they come back, that's when it all, starts coming back again. So anyway, so in this scene, he's telling Rose, like, it was in that moment that I remembered there's a way that I can help this country. So you think you can help the country by containing some shit that came in from outer space hundreds and hundreds of years ago, buried in the earth? You got the Native American people who've been guarding that shit for over 100 years, and you think you can contain it? So she goes, if you really remember everything from when we were kids, if you really remember, you would not be doing this. And she's right. And she goes, but if you are going to do this, you're going to do this with my help. So she goes into her little war chest at her house, pulls out, opens up the safe and pulls out that sacred like dagger thing that her Native American ancestor, the one, one of the badass chicks that fought Pennywise in last week's episode. So that's basically one of the things that can stop Pennywise from doing anything that he does, which we later see in the episode. And it was scary. It was scary. So she's toying with this because she's like, this fool is really about to do this. So this is what's going on. This is what we got to do. So here's what's interesting. I'm going to digress for a minute. Colonel Francis thinking that he can control it for military purposes is wild to me. Now walk with me on this train of thought. I'm a big Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan. If anybody watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer, remember season 4 when Buffy goes to college and she ends up being cool with who? Professor Walsh. And remember, we find out Professor Walsh is head of that army initiative, this underground, this experimenting on the vampires and demons running around Sunnydale. And she's figuring out how to make them and use them for good. And she makes that dude Adam, who's part soldier and demon. And he's basically, Frankenstein parts of different things that they caught in Sunnydale. And she thinks she can use that to help the military. And what happens? Adam loses his mind, runs amok, and kills Professor Walsh along with a bunch of other people a part of the initiative. So it's giving that. So she ends up she goes and gets the thing. I'm gonna call it the Spirit Destiny. That's from the movie Constantine. That's what it reminded me of. That the little dagger thing. So she goes and gets it, goes back to the military base and gives it to her nephew who's there. And they're speaking in their Native American tongue. And the hating ass officer's like, in English. But she tells him, she's like, listen, I'm giving you this because you're gonna have to go with them. Hi, Georgie. And my cat Georgie, by the way, that's right there. Hi, Georgia. Anyway, she's named after Georgie, the little boy that Pennywise takes in it. I have a sick sense of humor. Anyway, I digress. So, she brings him the spear and she's like, you're going to go down there with them and you're the only one that knows how to use this and you can protect them. Okay. Sergeant Leroy Hanlon. So he grabs his fine ass wife, Charlotte, the son, Will, boop, and he takes them to the base. They are now in a new house. It's weird and Will feels weird because he's without his friends, but it is what it is. So back in the in the honeycomb hideout where the other kids are at with that fake ass Maddie up there, Lily's ass is talking about how, because Lily's whole thing is Maddie doesn't want to go. Maddie explains it in the first scene how he's not going to the cops because he's not going back to where he grew up with his dad. And he's like, I'd rather go to the sewers. So she was like, well, if you don't want to go to the cops, then you're going to take us to where it lives and we're going to find Ralph and them and get them out of there. And they're like, go down there? And she's like, yes, you're going to take us. I want to say something about Lily. My sister and I had a long conversation about Lily Bainbridge today, who I was calling Lucy Bainbridge last week. Shout out to everybody that corrected me. Thank you. I really thought her name was Lucy. But anyway, it's Lily. Have y'all noticed that Lily Bainbridge isn't really scared of Pennywise? I mean, yeah, she screams and shit, but she ain't that scared. Because if you go back to the first episode, when he was showing out at the end in the movie theater as the demonic baby, if you notice, she never ran. She did not run. She tried to help her friends, including climbing under them nasty ass seats and trying to save homeboy's sister. She's not scared. And my sister, shout out to my sister Avalon, said the realest shit. She goes, I think she's more scared to go back to Juniper Hill than she is to face Pennywise. I don't disagree. Just something we noticed. And has anybody noticed there's a million Easter eggs on this show? If you've read any Stephen King, if you've watched any Stephen King, there's lots of Easter. So it's time to get to business. So they get down to so the military, along with Rose's nephew and Dick Halloran and Sergeant Hanlon, they go down to 29 Neibold Street. They go in there, and dude, the guy is telling them, so we're looking for what the natives are calling 13 pillars to hold this thing in. When you get down there, the enemy that you're looking for is going to feed off your fears. So if you see something down in them sewers that ain't natural, that's not supposed to be there, shoot that bitch. Shoot it. Shoot the J. Shoot it. Anyway, um, this whole scene, this whole sequence, I was just like, anxiety, anxiety, because I'm like, where Penny? What he gonna do? When is he coming? And then you got Dick Halloran because he got his own set of shit. By the way, can we get a Dick Halloran origin story TV show or movie? I'm just saying. So they're rummaging through the sewers, and then it's so the irony is at the same time the kids are also on their way down into them sewers as well. It's funny how it's two groups who couldn't be any similar if they wanted to be, who aren't similar, who are both going after the same thing. And I love that it's military folks and then a bunch of kids. I love that. I love that. And neither one of the groups got much power. Well, maybe military because they got Rose's nephew, he knows what's up. So they're jumping down in the sewer. They're getting further, deeper in anxiety hell. It's just getting wetter and deeper. And the first one to experience the bullshit would be the amazing Dick Halloran. So he jumps in and he falls all the way in. He's in the water. He swims up to this light. When he's climbing out, he's in a bathtub in some bathroom. Climbs out of the bathtub. He's on the floor. It's all wet. Grandmother standing next to him. Dickie, he's coming for you again. And he's like, Grandma? So you see this older black man walk in with a gun on his hip, and he's holding this like chain box. And Dick Halloran looks terrified. So meanwhile, back in the sewer, the soldiers are like, Halloran, where are you, Halloran? And of course, the two soldiers, and get fucked up. So they're looking around in the dark in the sewers, and they're pointing their guns and lights at this one sewer, and the lights on the guns go out, and you hear walking, right? And then you see this hand come out, and it's like, I want you. And of course, it's Pennywise looking like a demonic Uncle Sam. So he charges after them. We go back into Dick Halloran's memory, and he's looking up at his grandfather and his grandmother. So of course, outside the sewers, the kids are now coming. They've pulled up. They're all outside the sewer entrance, and Lily fucking Bainbridge with her mom's Quaaludes or whatever the hell, them Xanax, whatever they were. She's like, my mom calls these M&Ms. So remember, she talked about them taking them to lessen them being scared, their fear. So they all take these pills, high as a kite, walking in the sewer, high and effed up. Terrifying, with Maddie leading the way. So back in Dick Halloran's head, he's sitting there leaning against the bathtub, and his grandfather is taunting him, holding this locked box, and he's like, do you want me to open it, Dickie? What's in the box, Dickie? Do you want me to open it? Should I open it? Should I not open it? I loved it. It was great. And he's just terrified sitting there, and the grandma's just, in film school, it's called building tension. They were building tension. So back in the sewers, the kids, looking like the opening 5 minutes of Half Baked, walking in slow motion and shit, high as a kite. And I thought it was funny that Marge and Will's friend, the cute little Italian kid, that little boy is so cute. He's like, I'll hold your hand. He's like, okay. Back in Dick Halloran's head, his grandpa, So Dick Halloran's grandfather is doing the whole, you gonna open it? Because Dick Halloran won't open the box. He's like, I'm not opening it. At one point, he's like, you're not gonna open it. He pulls out his gun. He shoots the grandmother leg. You're not gonna open it, Dickie? I'm gonna open it. Should I not open it? This whole scene was insane, and it was creepy because the camera just kept getting closer to his grandfather's face, and at one point his eye goes up. So you already know who it is. You already know who it is. So then the grandfather, Pennywise, unlocks the box and opens it. And like in Pulp Fiction, it opens and it's glowing. Dick Halloran is grabbing his head. The scene's going nuts. So it's like, what was in the box? What did he unleash? We cut back to the kids, high as kites in the sewer, um, getting deeper and deeper. And I Lily, bless your heart, but girl, this was not it. This was not it. It was this sequence I thought was kind of funny because it definitely relieved the scary tension. Because you know Pennywise asses. Because listen, we're on the 5th episode. We've been waiting to see him. We've been waiting to see that ass, right? And boy, do we see him in this episode. Anyway, so the kids are in the sewer, and it was actually cute to see the moment with Marge and Homeboy because he had talked about liking her, and I think it was like the 2nd or 3rd episode. He kept talking about how pretty she is. The girl that plays Marge in real life cleans up well. She looks nothing like her character in real life. I was like, well, all right, Marge. So they're all elated and they're just high as kites. And what's funny, Lily is a little fighter. I got to give it to her. Lily is all right. So she's positive about what's happening because they're not scared, and it's all because they're high, which was the whole point of getting high. And Maddie's creepy ass is at the forefront looking at all of them like, what are y'all doing? Follow me. So we still have Sergeant Hanlon, Leroy Hanlon, Will's dad, and Will is down there too. And his best friend, Paulie, they're walking through. And you know how Pennywise does. So they hear something off in the distance. And it's Sergeant Hanlon's wife. And she's running over to him and he's like, the fuck is going on? She does some crazy shit. And my alarm just went off. Hold on. Sorry about that. I always set that alarm and I thought I'd turn it off. Anyway. So Sergeant Hanlon hears Leroy, I'm so upset. Wife comes running up. He's holding out the gun and she's like doing this. And Paulie is looking at him and he's like, who are you talking to? And he looks and there's nothing there. And he's like, Charlotte. So he looks back and she's further away and she's, pop locking and shit. Anyway, she runs towards him. Wah! Pennywise. He shoots. She falls back into the water. And remember, his friend Paulie is like, what the fuck is going on? What is going on? So, and of course, because he can't see anything. So he sees his dead wife laying in the water. And then she looks up at him and goes, and then like swims away. So it's Pennywise. And he's like, what is going on? So he's not scared. He's just like, what the fuck is going on? What's going on? So Paulie's like, are you okay? He turns around. They're having a little disagreement because you got to remember, was it Sergeant, Lieutenant, whatever, Sergeant, Lieutenant, Hanlon, whoever, all of them, both of them, all of them. He's not scared of shit. He's not scared of shit. So for him, it's trying to justify what he just saw. And obviously he can't, but he knows that it's whatever they're looking for. And I would think somebody who has no fear, it's got to be quite fascinating and shocking, because it's like, what? Imagine being military and you're on a mission of something that defies logic completely. Like it's wild. So anyway, the kids are back with Maddie and they're walking through the sewers and they come to this like dead end. And they hear something behind them and they turn around and they're looking because they hear some shit in the sewer and they're looking, and Maddie gets up and he investigates closer. Of course he does. Of course he investigates closer. And as they're looking around, they look down and it's all their friends that died in the theater. They're floating up from the water. So they're all freaking out. And then Maddie's ass is up on top of the pole, like the head stripper at Atlantic City. This fool's head splits in half. And baby, the bullshit begins. He starts going around the pole, right? And his head is splitting and he's pop locking and moving around the pole like the prize stripper. And as he's moving around, who is he turning into? Baby Pennywise. And Pennywise, who was like an old homie, he came out with that. I was so here for it. It was fan. What a reveal. What a reveal. So Pennywise is like, duck and cover, kiddos. And he starts chasing them. They all take off screaming and running. Lily's ass runs and falls. So she's the last behind, of course. So we got Sergeant Hanlon with the homeboy Paulie, and they hear, oh my God, help. So in slow motion, you see Will run out, and then you see the other kids running. And Hanlon, Leroy Hanlon, the dad, he thinks that they're like not real, just like how we saw his wife. And Paulie's like, I see them too. They're real. He don't hear him. He goes to shoot. Paulie gets in the way and he shoots his best friend, kills him. What the hell are you kids doing in here? And he's like, get behind me. So they have they all run out. He's there with his friend who's dying. That was sad. That was hard to watch. His friend dies. They got to leave. So he picks his friend up, him along with the kids. They leave the sewer. Lily's ass is still in there, right? So she's looking for them, and she sees in the corner the silhouette of Pennywise. And you know Pennywise, he's like Freddy Krueger. He gonna talk shit to you before he kills you. So he's like, Lily, you brought them all to me because you're such a good friend. So then he does the whole, he starts running towards her, full teeth out, and he stops, right? Down below, he stops because that magical spirit destiny thing that we gonna call it, what the Native Americans have, that the dude had dropped is in the water glowing. So she's freaking out because she's like this, and she's looking at it. She's looking at him, and he's looking at it, and he pop lock his ass the fuck out of there. And Lily's like, the fuck? So she picks it up and she's looking at it like, what is this? So the next scene, we have her friend, that teacher lady who's Madeline Stowe, the actress, who looks amazing, by the way. I said that last week. Madeline Stowe, what kind of baby blood are you drinking? Because, girl, you look great. So anyway, she leaves her house. She gets in her car. This is the other thing. I forgot to mention this. So earlier on, we find out that the bus, the Shawshank that Ronnie Gorgon's dad was on, got into an accident, and he's missing. So flash forward to this scene. She gets in the car, right? This fool is in the back seat and tells her just to drive. So they drive out into a clearing. They get out the car and they start making out. So she's the one that he's been sleeping with. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So they're at this clearing by the forest, and he's basically on the run now. Ronnie's dad. And she's like, we have to get you somewhere. And he's like, well, where am I gonna stay? And she's like, you can't stay here in the wood. They're gonna be combing the trees, the forest soon, blah, blah, blah. So he's like, I think I know of a place, whatever. So they leave. Or she's like, I think I know of somebody who can help you or something. So we get back to the base, and Leroy Hanlon is obviously very upset. He's telling Colonel Francis, Dexter's dad, what happened. And he's upset. So he's like he's not warm about it, but he's basically like, it is what it is. We gonna find him. But he tries to blame it on the Native Americans. Well, these people led us to, they knew what they were leading us into. Do you hear yourself? Do you hear yourself? I love the social commentary that they're adding on this shit. How you gonna blame the Native American people for the shit that you absolutely were looking for? And if it wasn't for Rose, your goofy motherfucking ass, everybody would be dead. If it wasn't for the spirit destiny or whatever the hell that thing is. Like, I was like, of course he would say some shit like that. And then so he's going to leave. And Leroy's like, where has anybody seen Dick Halloran? Like, did he make it out? So Francis is like, he hasn't made it out yet. Cue Dick Halloran. He comes walking out of the sewer. He was like, if anybody can make it out, it's him. So he comes walking out the sewers, kind of dazed, and he turns his head because he sees somebody off in the distance, and it's Paulie, but he's dead. And then we go to the room in Dick Halloran's head in the bathroom where his grandfather opened the lock. Well, Pennywise opened the lock. So it's open like in Pulp Fiction. It's just glowing and there's like gold light spewing out of it. I have a lot of theories about that of what's in the box. I think Dick Halloran, if anybody that's watched or read The Shining, same with Dr. Sleep, Dick Halloran got all types of motherfucking powers, okay? We're getting a little taste of it in this. This is why he needs an origin story. He needs his own show. Subliminal message. Subliminal. Anyway, I don't know. It's like he wasn't seeing dead people before that. It seems like he locked away some shit in his mind. That's what that box represents. And now it's open and it's a free for all. And has anybody noticed the Shining bathroom that he occasionally goes into? Anyway, this show's the best. And I look forward to it every single week. I freak out. Listen, I didn't even do my Real Housewives of Potomac review. I went straight to Welcome to Derry. Anyway, I love this show. We only have 3 more episodes left. Bill Skarsgård has brought something so wonderful and magical to the Pennywise character. He's managed to make the character terrifying and likable, just like Tim Curry did. I love it. I think Tim Curry needs to have a cameo on the show. He could be somebody to live in Derry. It would be nice to see him. Anyway, what's today? Monday. Happy Monday, you guys. Happy Thanksgiving. And stay hydrated, stay warm, be nice to each other. And I'm gonna go return these videotapes.